Lotus Season 3, Episode 6, Denials. We are in the end game now, and we have gone way past the point of return for a lot of these characters and a lot of these storylines, specifically the Ratliff brothers, which we will get to in a second because Mike White really took it there. We thought he took it there last episode, and then Episode 6, we really went to that spot. So we'll break down all of the different groups of people in the season 3 of White Lotus. But first, let me just address the overarching criticism that there seems to be kind of a groundswell on the internet now of people saying that White Lotus Season 3 does not match up to Seasons 1 and 2. That I don't understand. If you don't like White Lotus and your criticism is that it's a slow show and that quote-unquote nothing's happening, I disagree with that, but I understand where you're coming from because that has been a critique of mine with this show. At points, you're just watching people live. There's not some evil villain, super bad guy, main conflict that, there's a big battle at the end. There's a big payoff, a big twist. Like, you're just watching people live. It's just about, a bunch of fucked up people living in this resort, and you see their fucked up relationship dynamic or family dynamic, and then, you sprinkle in some extreme situation like a murder, and we watch how all these people react. In that sense, it's almost like a reality show with scripted people. So if that is not your cup of tea, I understand that. But that's always been White Lotus, so I don't understand people saying it's not as good or the same as Seasons 1 and 2. That's always been what it is. This is an ensemble cast of a bunch of people from different families and different walks of life, and their vacations all intertwine under, a set of ridiculous circumstances, and we just watch how they react. That's the game. So I don't understand what happened in Seasons 1 and 2 that you are not getting in Season 3, because it's all the same. Now, the pacing has been a little bit slow, but I feel like the last couple episodes, we really took it there. And so we're going to head over to our trusty White Lotus flowchart as we have the 4 different groups of people, as always, the White Lotus staff, the 2 couples, the White girls, and the Ratliff family. You got to begin with the Ratliffs. The very beginning of the episode, we see Timothy Ratliff, boom, kill himself in what I thought right away. I was like, oh, this is obviously like a dream sequence or a flash, a dream sequence, or he's just daydreaming. And then it lingered on long enough that I was like, maybe it's not. When the daughter comes running in, I was like, holy shit, did they just bam, do it to us? And then no, it is revealed to be a daydream. And as that happened, I'm watching the show, and just in general, I say to myself, it's so fucking lame to kill yourself. No matter what the circumstances are, so what, man? You got caught up in some financial scandal. Go to your white-collar prison, do your time, lose your money, but don't kill yourself, man. There's just never any circumstances worth suicide. And then I saw Saxon and Lochte. That, my friends, is probably worth killing yourself, because there ain't no coming back from I got jerked off by my brother in a threesome in Thailand. That's either you have to end your life or just make that your life. You are now sexual deviants who live in Thailand and do weird shit together. You either got to go all the way in or all the way out, because you just cannot resume normal life after you have the realization that your 18-year-old brother, who just turned legal and is having sex for the first time, reached over and gave you a handy. There ain't no coming back from that. And listen, all of us out here, I'm sure, have had a healthy dose of anxiety, of the Sunday scaries, of that existential dread that comes along with your vacation coming to an end and you needing to resume normal life, and waking up in the morning, cotton mouth, hungover, head throbbing, legs aching. What did I do? What did I say last night? And usually it ends up being, oh, I, texted my ex. Oh, I confessed my love to a friend of mine. Oh, I yelled at someone. Oh, I embarrassed myself. It's not usually I jerked off my brother and or got jerked off by my brother. And it's like a weird, a sweet dose of karma for Saxon in this sense. It's like you flew too close to the sun on perverted wings, and this is what you get. You want to be the big bad man who's fucking girls and you know, this finance douchebag who thinks he runs the world and he can't even fathom girls who don't want to hook up with him, and he's pushing his brother to fuck, and he's making fun of his sister for not fucking, and everything is just sex, power, and boom, what happens to you? You end up getting jerked off by your younger brother. And hats off to Patrick Schwarzenegger, who I think has been doing a great job. I know there's been some criticism for him on the internet about Nepo babies and all this shit. I think he has played that role to perfection. There's only one other person on the planet Earth who I think would have played that role better, and that is Francis Ellis. But other than that, I think he did such a good job of conveying that angst and that just like the horror of realizing it's the ultimate, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. I think I said that about when they kissed. You definitely can't put it back in after you get jerked off. And that feeling of when you do something really stupid, if you've ever had like a bad drunk injury, a drunk accident, a big drunk mistake, and you just like, I just want to rewind time. Like I would just give anything for a time machine to undo what I did. And I just can't even understand the level of which you would feel that after finding out that you went to third base with your brother. And I thought there was a chance that it was going to be like a lie, that like Chloe and Chelsea were going to fuck with Saxon, because it's like, this guy's such a douchebag, and he's obviously just like a chauvinist and a misogynist, and he's like a weird sexual deviant. So let's fuck with this guy and tell him, yeah, man, you got jerked off by your brother. But it seems to be the real deal. And while he suffers through it the whole time and just plays the, hey, we both blacked out card, right? It's poor Lachlan that I really feel bad for, as we end the episode with him going to the monastery and sitting there and meditating and tapping into his brain and into his memories. Like, that's the last thing you want to do, man. That guy should have just kept on drinking. Go through like a 3-day bender. End up in a 72-hour stupor so that your brain can never access those memories ever again. Because if you're Saxon and you remember it and you really think that your brother has blacked it out, and the only people on the planet who know are these two random women who are you're never going to see again, you just got to do yourself a favor and black that out mentally. Just it never happened. Like the old Costanza, it's not a lie if you believe it. And so if you're really the only one in the world who knows, you just compartmentalize that and push it away. But once Lachlan unlocks it, and now you're both aware that you were getting a little, it's a life ruiner. And so, you know, at one point I thought Timothy Ratliff would be the leader in the clubhouse. If I were to set the odds of which Ratliffs are going to kill themselves, Timothy would be the front runner. I think Saxon may have taken the lead on that tip. Timothy actually seems to kind of be coming out the other side of it. You can see that he's struggling with this idea of suicide, and then he's even considering a murder-suicide because Victoria says she doesn't even want to live life if she loses everything. And that is one of the problems, I think, when it comes to situations like this in life, whether you're talking about like crime or scandals, drugs, sex, violence, like whatever it is, like when you encounter something really bad in life and you want to confront it head on. I really feel like oftentimes it's more about the other people that you're going to disappoint or upset or ruin their lives. Like, it's really not about yourself. It's now he's thinking, like, now he has the pressure of someone else saying, well, if we lost everything, I wouldn't want to live. And now it's that much harder for him to come clean, lean on her, ask for help, admit what happened, because he realizes that, he has people in his life that aren't going to just say, hey, man, like, whatever, I love you, our family's still good, we can do it with money, we can do it without money. Like, that's not what matters. He has the exact opposite. He has all that pressure coming from his wife saying, like, imagine if we didn't have the life that we had. There's nothing worse. I can't imagine that. So now he's thinking, I got to take both of us out. But I think he's coming to terms with the idea of being at peace with this, as he kind of has his enlightenment moment when he goes to the monastery and talks to the guru, where, he starts to almost see the other side of things. He seems to be okay with Piper maybe living there for a year and living this life that's not materialistic and not superficial, because look where all of that got him. He's at the end of his life now with nothing to show for it except for, potential jail time and disappointing his entire family. So an interesting, swap there, that Timothy Ratliff might end up being, the most enlightened of all after coming into this kind of being like the biggest douchebag of the bunch. I also don't get, just stay in Thailand, bro. I think, right? I don't know the rules there. I don't know about extradition and whatnot, but Gary Gregg is on the run for his crimes and living in Thailand, in secret with his beautiful house with infinity pools and a hot bitch and just, living this quiet life. Just do that. You don't have to kill yourself. You don't have to go to jail. Just stay in Thailand. Whatever, man. So we'll see how that unfolds. But shout out to Mike White for giving us all of these memes with Duke on the chest and a gun to his head last episode. Now we've got Timothy Ratliff from this episode in the Duke shirt, like a pool of blood. Depending on how aggressive you want to get with your March Madness memes, if things don't go well for Duke in the coming weeks, Mike White definitely gave you plenty of content. So let's get back to our the rest of our flowchart here. We will start with Belinda and Ponchai. There's never been a more obvious situation of the son was going to walk in on them boning. She said, I think she says in the last episode, just come right to my room, or the door's unlocked or something along those lines. And it's okay, we know what's happening here. Belinda and her tiggle bitties just laying in bed with, Ponchai being, basically Little Spoon, and Zion walks in God damn, Mom, you couldn't have just cleaned it up for 5 minutes when I got in here. He plays it cool though. He's I'm just happy you're getting some. So awkward moment there between Belinda and Ponchai. Ponchai is as nice as can be. He's I'm so sorry. And as far as, your son walking in on you, sleeping with some guy in Thailand, that's probably, if anybody else has to say, I walked in on my family member, my mother, having sex in Thailand, this is about the best case scenario, where it seems to be a nice little wholesome hookup that everyone's being mature adults and can seem to handle. We have Guy Talk, who is the worst at his job. We have established he is the worst and biggest pussy security guard of all time. The one gripe I really have with this episode was him being able to just open up the one drawer that had the gun in it. Just a little thing, just have him open up all the drawers and have that be his fifth choice. The fact that he just looks at that little wall of drawers and just goes and grabs the one thing, that bothered me. But he just barely dodges a bullet, for lack of a better term, pun intended, and he gets the gun before his boss can realize that it's been stolen. Mook, I'm just still so convinced he's so pussy whipped on her that she is playing him. She is in bed with the guys who robbed the store. She's going to be involved with the people who end up pulling the trigger in the big final confrontation. Maybe it's the Russians from Valentine. Whatever it is, Mook is playing Guy Talk like an absolute fiddle, and I think he has no. If there is any sort of situation where Guy Talk all of a sudden becomes the hero or becomes the tough guy or starts to think clearly, I'm gonna hate that, because they have made him such a fucking ridiculous pussy who's so bad at his job that they need to just see that through and be yeah, this guy absolutely sucks. The only other person who sucks worse than him is Fabian. I fucking hate Fabian. I'm going to sing tonight. Get off my screen. Unless he has some major payoff, get off my fucking screen. I got no interest in him. I love Belinda just not giving an inch with him. Are you feeling better? No, bitch. I told you about this guy who is a murderer, and you're we don't do anything about that. Fuck you, Fabian. You're the worst. And then we have Sritala, and she's off island. She's in Bangkok with Rick. So Rick, his scene last week with Sam Rockwell was one of the highlights of the episode. Talk about more meme content. Walton Goggins' face just kind of reacting to Sam Rockwell's I became the lady boy and I became the women that I wanted to fuck. That was one of the peaks of this season. Just one of the more absurd series of dialogue you'll ever hear in a show. and he is now following through with his plan and kind of comes up with this like cockamamie, ridiculous, follows her to Bangkok, goes to lunch with her, says he's a big producer. We need to meet at your house. He ropes Sam Rockwell into this, plan of his where, he's like, I know you're going to kill this guy. And he's like, no, it's not going to get messy. He just needs to know what I did. He's like, dude, I know it's going to get messy. Left us with a little cliffhanger there as Scott Glenn is revealed to be Jim Hollinger. We know him from The Leftovers. He was Kevin Garvey Sr. He was in Training Day. All-time great actor who is playing the role of Jim Hollinger. Scott Glenn's got to be like 1,000 years old by now. So that's where we're left off with Rick. As far as Rick and the couples, Rick and Chelsea, who were kind of this inseparable duo, the first 4 or 5 episodes have been for the last couple hours, like totally separate. And I don't know if there's something there about, Chelsea is insistent that they are soulmates. And so maybe that point is like, no matter how far he strays or whatever he goes to do, he's off to try to maybe potentially murder someone or confront someone on his vengeful tour while she's off partying in Thailand, taking drugs and fooling around with these boys. But like they will find each other's way back because that is, what soulmates do. I don't quite know what that is there. And then you also have Gary and Chloe, the other couple, who Gary Gregg is giving her the business, saying, I know you fucked one of those brothers. Which one was it? You can tell this is something that he's done a lot. He's one of those boyfriends who's like, I know you fucked him. I know you fucked that bartender. I know you fucked your ex, or that guy from the guy from work. I know you fucked him. And you just kind of, that toxic, like, accusatory, I know you did it, confess it to me, where the other person's like, fine, I did it. Like, I didn't even do it, but fine, because I know that's what you want to hear. But in this case, she did do it. It's one of those, like, how can he accuse me of cheating? He doesn't have any proof. But it's like, yeah, but you did it. So he's right. So Chloe just being a big old hoe, being like, I didn't fuck one of them because I fucked both of them. Now, Gary Gregg has said, bring him over to the house. I know you fucked him. She kind of cops to it. She doesn't want to lie. She's just like, well, what if I did do it? And he's on this, like, it's okay, bring him over. Now, my first instinct was kind of like, is he on some, like, cuck shit? Is this some fantasy stuff? Is there going to be a threesome? Is he going to watch? Does he want that to happen? But I think it's more likely that he is now going to, I think you can tell by him saying, I need some help I need your help with something. And in my mind, it feels like he needs to confront Belinda about the Tanya situation. Belinda knows who he is. He knows that Belinda knows. And so he's either going to have to kill her, confront her, scare her, intimidate her, whatever it is he's going to do. He needs to make that happen. And I think in order to do so, he's going to invite everybody over to the house. And my thought is he needs Chloe's help to get this done. So it's kind of like, I know you cheated. I know you fucked that guy, but I'll look past it. You can keep riding this gravy train. You can keep being this sugar baby, but, in exchange for me to look the other way on this, I need you to whatever. Make sure Belinda comes to the house. Distract everyone while I do whatever with Belinda. Kill her, scare her, fix this situation. And I think Chloe is like, I got to do what I got to do. Because as she had that conversation with Chelsea, she was like, this is a pretty good situation. I know we complain about this guy a lot, but like, look around. I'm living in the lap of luxury in this like Thai mansion. I don't want to fuck this up. So if he gives her an out to not, I'm not going to kick you to the curb for fucking one of these Ratliff boys, she's got to take it. So we'll see. That seems to be, I think between the Rick revenge, the final like gunshot scene, whatever that is, and Gary Gregg confronting Belinda, to me, those are like the 3 biggest, most violent, like toxic potential scenarios. So we'll see how Chloe and Chelsea in their respective situations with both those guys, how that all pays off. The White Girls, about as messy as it can get with, 3 40, 50-year-old white women, as they all play one of the roles of like the worst roles to be in a friend group. You got Jacqueline, who is clearly like the mean girl, Regina George. She has spent all week hyping up Lori. You should fuck him. You should have a fling with him. You're so hot. You're so great. He's perfect. Hyping her up to the point that she she's feeling herself and she does agree and she wants to, and then it's like, actually, I'm gonna fuck him. Classic mean girl behavior. Get your, your lesser than friends hope up, and then, I'm the popular girl, and it stays that way. Jacqueline's the worst. Lori, also kind of like an asshole. It's like she is being just as competitive from the opposite angle. She wasn't acting on it. She didn't want Valentine. She did like that attention, and she did like Jacqueline saying all those things, but at the end of the day, she's not acting on it. She's not doing anything. But now all of a sudden she's going to get mad when someone else acts on it. It's like, if I don't do it, you can't either. Like, nobody likes that either. That's pretty childish and immature as well. And then there's poor Katie, who I would say is the best of the bunch, but also she's not totally innocent either. Now, Katie is the one, like, when they're partying with the Russians, she was like, I think it's time to go home. I don't think this is a good idea. We're all supposed to just be having fun together as friends. Like, everybody has husbands and family back home. And, like, let's not get too crazy here. And so she's trying the best between these two. Like, you got one egomaniac. You got one kind of, like, spiteful on the other end of the spectrum. And she's just trying to keep this all together. She thinks she's just gossiping amongst friends. But, she's kind of the instigator, and she's kind of stirring the pot. She's, I didn't think this was a big deal. But it's like, bitch, how'd you not know that was going to be a big deal? Of course it's going to be a big deal when you're snitching on one girl who's cheating on her husband to the other girl who had a crush on the guy she cheated with two friends that have, competitive and power dynamic issues. Like, of course that was going to happen. So I think if I had to, rank them, I think Jacqueline's the worst, Lori's second worst, Katie's is the best, but none of them really behave in a way that is, very attractive. And there is the Ratliffs, which we already talked about, the brothers and Timothy, but you also have Victoria Ratliff, who's really come into this Moira Rose-esque character from Schitt's Creek. This ridiculous voice, ridiculous accent, asking these absurd questions with zero understanding of how the other side of life lives, acting like, this monastery is Skid Row, acting like Piper wants to go live on the streets and be a hooker, when in reality, she's this girl who just wants to, like, find, peace and live, a wholesome life. And Victoria is saying, we need our kids to have a healthy fear of poverty, which is one of the all-time great lines. And, that's how we got where we are, by being afraid of being poor. And that's where Timothy Ratliff's kind of like, I don't think we really want them to be us, because it didn't turn out too well for me. So Piper, seems to be finding her way into this monastery. Victoria thinks that she's going to, stay there for a night, and realize she doesn't like it. Timothy's kind of like, I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world. And the boys are having meltdowns because they realized that they had a little bit of gay incest. They had a little bit of a gay incest situation in a threesome in Thailand. And like I said, there ain't no coming back from that one. So final 2 episodes. As always with these shows, it's the penultimate. Episode 7 promises to be, I think, probably, the biggest episode, with the finale being the fallout and wrapping everything up in a bow. So we are right on the verge of, I think, everything coming to a head in White Lotus Season 3. Drop your comments below. Drop your predictions. What do you think's in store for next week?